In this video, we are looking at variance and standard deviation. These are measures of how spread out the data is. A measure of how far the pieces of data are away from the middle. The first question, we've got the heights of 8 students. We need to work out the mean firstly. So to work out the mean, we're going to add them all up and divide by how many. So we're just going to type it into the calculator. And we get 167.5. So 167.5 is the mean. We're going to work out the variance and standard deviation now. For variance, we use this symbol. It's a lowercase sigma squared. And for standard deviation, which is the square root of the variance, it's just the lowercase sigma. And the variance is the mean of the squares minus the square of the mean. So it's the sum of all the numbers squared divided by how many, take away the mean, which is all the numbers added up, divided by how many squared. So it's the mean of the squares minus the square of the means. So we're going to have to work out what all of the numbers squared and added together is. And that is 225,820. So it's going to be 225,820 over 8. Take away the mean squared, which is 167.5 squared. So it's answer over 8 minus 167.5 squared. And we get 171.25. So that is our variance. Our standard deviation is the square root of the variance. So we just square root our answer and we get 13.1 to 3 significant figures. A question for you to try. See if you can work that one out. So for the mean, we're going to add them all up and divide by how many. And we get 43.4. So the mean is 43.4, probably centimeters again. The variance and standard deviation. So the variance is the mean of the squares minus the square of the mean. So we need the sum of the x squareds so 19,370. We've got 19,370 over 10, take away 43.4 squared. And we get 53.44. The standard deviation is the square root of the variance, so 7.31 to 3 significant figures. Here's another question. This time we've been given the sum of the x's, the sum of the x squareds, and n, which is how many there are. So work out the mean. It's going to be 86 divided by 8. So all the numbers added up, divided by how many, and that's 10.75. The variance is the mean of the squares minus the square of the mean. So we have 1080 over 8 minus 10.75 squared. And that is 19.4. The standard deviation is the square root of the variance, 4.41. And a question for you to try. Try and give it a go. So the mean is all the numbers added up, divided by how many? 60 over 10 is 6. The variance is the mean of the squares. So 400 over 10 minus the square of the mean minus 6 squared. So 40 minus 36, that's 4. And the standard deviation is the square root of the variance. Square root 4 is 2. This time we've got a table. So it's very similar. For the mean, we're going to have the sum of fx over n, and the variance is going to be the sum of fx squared over n minus, so the mean of the squares minus the square of the mean, sum of fx over n squared. So we have our x and our f. So we times, we've got 13 zeros. 13 zeros make 0. 15 ones make 15. 9 twos make 18. And 1 3 makes 3. So our total, the total number of goals scored. So we had 0 goals 13 times, 15 lots of 1 goal. 2 goals were scored 9 times, and 3 goals were scored once. So in total, that is 36 goals scored. So 36 divided by how many? And how many games were there? There were 13 plus 15 plus 9 plus 1, 38 games. So it's 36 over 38. And that is 0.947. That's the mean number of goals. Then our variance, the sum of the fx squareds. So it's 13 times 0 squared plus 15 times 1 squared plus 9 times 2 squared and 1 times 3 squared. So that is 60. That's the sum of the fx squareds. 60 over 38 minus our mean squared, which was 36 over 38 squared. So that's the mean of the squares minus the square of the mean again. So 60 over 38 minus 36 over 38 squared. And we get 0.681. And so the standard deviation, that's the variance. The standard deviation is the square root of that. And that's 0.825. One for you to try. See if you can give it a go. So again, we've got our x and our f. Let's work out the sum of fx and the sum of fx squared. The sum of f times x is 5 zeros plus 15 ones plus 12 twos plus 6 threes. That's 57. The sum of the fx squareds, so 6 times 3 squared, 12 times 2 squared, 15 times 1 squared, and 5 times 0 squared is 117. And there's 27, still 38 in total. So n is 38. So the mean is 57 over 38. Which is 1.5. The variance, the mean of the squares minus the square of the mean, 117 over 38 minus 1.5 squared. (0.829). And standard deviation, square root variance, 0.910.